For the black of it. For the black of it. For the black of it.
Greetings, 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 everyone. This is On the Wake Up Radio, and we have another exciting segment from For the Black of It. And just a few administrative work. I'd like to thank Ra for being on the boards and holding us down like he always do. Super producer Cindy Ashby, thank you for all your hard work. Again, this is On the Wake Up Radio. You can find us on onthewakeupradio.com. We are also on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, and everywhere else that you could find us digitally. Today we have an exciting show. We'll be discussing Black Power, or defining Black Power in the age of social media. And our guest today is AU, or also known as African Unification, and Brother Hassan, who they have been doing some fabulous work on disseminating information to our people, and just want to get some more perspective from them on how do we define Black Power on social media and get people from the keyboards to face-to-face to really create and recreate Black Power as we fantasize it from the 60s and the 20s. And I'm sorry, I'm your host, Sia in the house, also known as Marcia, and we have our co-host, Oz. Hi, Brother Oz.
Peace.
How are you today?
I'm breathing, and that's all that's important.
Okay. African AU, or African Unification, I'm going to get it right throughout the show.
Yes,
How are
ma'am.
you
Yes, ma'am. I'm doing well. I'm grateful to be invited on the show. I thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you for joining. And Brother Hassan.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Peace, my brother.
Yay.
Peace, sister.
Yay. So, as I said, we're going to be talking about defining Black Power in social media. How do you guys see Black Power in social media? Anyone just jump in any moment.
Hey, you can go first.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, brother. What I will say is it's a little difficult with people understanding that there is a difference in how you use social media and what you're doing in actual life. Social media, if we understand why it was created, is a monitoring tool. And if we understand that, then we will be smart enough to use it in a smart way, which is basically to spread information. If you want to have events, we're also coming information. If you're going to have meetups, then it's not a problem. And what you're doing in your personal life, some of those things, or most of those things, shouldn't be placed on social media. And so just understanding that big difference right there, I think that it would help a lot of us doing the work and understanding that it's just a tool and to use it properly.
Okay.
Yeah. Brother, son?
Well, for me, social media has allowed us to, in some sense, control the narrative, right? To expose people to information that they've never been exposed to. And on that note, it can be a double-edged sword, because we are in the World Star generation, where you can have negative imagery of Black people, and then you can have the positive. So for me, social media has allowed my face to be recognized throughout the community, you know what I'm saying, in New York or Georgia or wherever I am. And it also allows us to control the narrative. Now, getting off of social media, we have to adopt what I consider to be the 7-day advantage, you know what I'm saying, model, where we have to really hit the streets. But it starts with being familiarized with somebody. Like, one thing we have to realize in this society, we have a polarizing society where people attract to people based on their talents or their beliefs of that person. So we have this term now, you know, Instagram famous, right? So if you're using your Instagram fame or whatever you want to classify it as to organize your people, then that's always beneficial to us.
Okay.
Right. And so how do we go about comparing? You know, if we look at the 20s or the early 1900s, we had all these great newspapers that our ancestors had produced in terms of disseminating information, right? And getting people to understand what was going on from the south to the north, right? Because the Defender would share lynching stories, right? It was the Defender that let the North know what was happening in the South. Without Ida B. Wells' fantastic work for our people and the struggles that she witnessed personally. And, you know, we continually witness these stories, you know. Recently I heard one of my Insta sisters having a family tragedy at the hands of, you know, the police department. These people with badges. And, you know, it broke my heart. And to see that, you know, we're still struggling in the same veins, right? Nothing's really changed, just the times. And actually times hasn't changed. It's just the level of inclusion that we feel that we have. So how do we mirror some of the things that our ancestors has been able to create for us in terms of, you know, disseminating this knowledge? Because, you know, I believe that we are embodying the spirits that they had when they were doing their job, and we're using it on this platform that they've given us. And we have less control than they did, but any old way, we are still doing a great job. So the question is, how do we continue to help our brothers and sisters out there understand the plight of our people?
Sister, that's all you.
Thank you. I will say that it's kind of like, basically, I feel like it's important for us to realize how many years it's taken us to get in this destruction that we're in right now. And it's gonna, and hopefully it happens faster than, you know, some of us expect it to happen, but it's gonna take some time for us to uncondition ourselves and our mindsets and how we feel and how we think and the things that we do. And just understanding that the amount of distractions that we have, it's a very sad situation. But I do think that we're getting back into the movement of understanding and learning and changing the ways that we think, changing the ways that we eat. There's more Black vegans or plant-based eaters that I've seen now than I've seen ever in my life. You know, so just certain things that I think that, you know, using social media and other things like that are helping us to get back to where we're supposed to be as a people. But to answer your question, you want us to tell you how we can get our people back. I'm sorry, repeat the question because I went left for a second. Repeat the question, please.
Okay. So now I got to remember the question, but so the vein of the question was embodying our ancestors and
right.
the work that they did in disseminating information, right? And, you know, the level of inclusion wasn't as beautiful, quote unquote, as it is today for our people. So people were reading. Those who could read would share information with others better. So how can we get back to that level of sharing? And Brother Hassan had picked up on a really important point with World Star, because you know it is fun to watch sometimes. But let me get off of that. Yeah, so that's the question. Sorry.
Right.
May I?
Thank you.
May I answer?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go right.
Okay, so the first thing I believe, and this is just my personal belief, is that we have to realize that we're not our ancestors, that we don't live in the same era as our ancestors. Things have modernized. In being introduced to internet, it became a double-edged sword within our community. Like I said, we have to get back out there and adopt the methods of the Nation of Islam, right, of the Seventh-day Adventists. We have to hit the streets. Anybody that's been in my city, they can tell you, they see me on the corner all the time, out there on my soapbox. You know, any events that's going on, you know, within the community, I'm trying to be there. Whether it's Carnival or Jerk Festival, I'm always making my presence felt and my faith seen, right? Because we can't be scared to be out there and engage with our people. So I'm also in the hood as well. With that being said, again, it is a positive thing to control the narrative, because we was like, for example, right, when Louis Farrakhan did the Million Man March, right? After the Million Man March, he had a hard time booking speaking engagements. They wouldn't let him use Madison Square Garden. They wouldn't let him. So he actually took a trip to Africa to meet with the heads of state in Africa. Now, what was that doing? That was actually destroying his message, because he had the Million Man March on a Monday, which said that I could make a million man call out of work and shut down this whole society if I wanted to. But I'm only going to take a million men out of work. So Europeans realized, listen, we have to control this narrative. We have to control what they see as positive and negative. We're dealing with that and realizing that we're not our ancestors, because Marcus Garvey organized 15 million Africans globally before there was anything of a mention of a Google or internet. So being a double-edged sword, it has made us lazy to some degree. And to answer the question, we have to get back on the streets, like literally on the streets.
On the streets. Okay.
Yes, the streets. The streets, because that's where people hang out at.
You know, I don't disagree. I like the Jehovah Witness, right? I believe that, you know, to your point, right? I believe we should knock on our door and say, hey, this is your conscious wake-up call, and we just like to drop you some information and walk away, you know? And if you want us to stay, we could come inside and have a cup of coffee. We bring our own coffee, and we'll talk to you and evangelize to you. But I think with that, there is fear in us to do something like that, right? Oh, I can't knock on somebody's door, or you feel like, you know, a particular community is too bougie for you to go through it when, you know, 85% of the population in that community is of your hue, right? So there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to knock on their door. Jehovah Witnesses don't care. And lately, I even see Latter-day Saints. Is that the way they call themselves?
The Mormons.
Christ. Okay, your friend.
I also see a Scientologist.
Yeah, so even those people are, you know, aren't afraid to knock on doors. So here's the next question. Why are we afraid to knock on doors?
Who says we are? Who says we are?
Who says we aren't?
Because I know a lot of people do it on a regular basis. You know, actually it's a seasonal thing. But as soon as the springtime comes around, they're door knocking. They're talking to their neighbors.
Jehovah's Witnesses don't care about the season. They'll come and knock on your door in the winter.
Cool. So, I mean, but it's not that you're scared to knock on doors. It's just not something we do year-round. But there are seasons and there are situations that call for it, that encourage it, and we utilize those opportunities to do those kind of door knockings. You know, encouraging folks to start block associations and things like that. As a way of, you know, most people don't even know their neighbors. We can agree that. But the first way to step to doing that is, you know, go out of your way And also, but I
Well,
also notice a lot of folks don't like having their neighbors in their homes. You can't be scared to have your neighbors in your home. You can't start building no community where you're my neighbor, but don't come. I can't trust you in my living room. You know what I mean? By doing that alone, that's revolutionary. You can organize.
Right.
Let AU speak.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead, sis.
Okay. I think it's important for us to realize that a few things have changed throughout the years. And maybe, I don't know how old everybody is on the call, but I'm in my mid-30s. So, during my parents' time, all of the destruction of family issues were kept a lot more hush-hush than it is now, to the point where you didn't know if there was a druggie or alcoholic in the family, or an abuser, physical or sexually or emotionally abuser in the home. That was something that could have happened, but you didn't know about it. So it was more trustworthy in the community. Now we have people who look like us who are doing the crimes of the people who are trying to destroy us. And so it sounds easy, it sounds good to just say, hey, you know what, you're on my block, you're my neighbors, come on in, but people have been burnt in ways. I'm not saying that should be an excuse to not move forward in a community way, but just keep in mind that there are people, we all know somebody who had a drug issue, and all of a sudden they went in the house for a few minutes and the TV went missing, or wallets were missing, and so that is also a feeling that people have when it comes to trusting people. We have a trust issue with our people, and that's something that we need to deal with. And how exactly we do that, we have to find more trustworthy people who are actually doing the work, who have been vouched for by other trustworthy people, and trust those people. I think that's where we can start, because just allowing, and I could be wrong, this is how I feel, because I know that I see the pain that people have gone through with people, even their own family, when they have family functions, and all of a sudden Uncle Joe or, Auntie Keisha's over, and then things go missing, and then they're heartbroken because they trusted them to come around their children. So it's just dealing with that there.
We can't let the loss of material items destroy our opportunity to create something so functional as a community. So you lost some silverware. We're talking about building a community here. I mean, what's important? Is there a price tag on a functioning community? You'll get those things back. You'll get those things back.
Go ahead.
And when you have a functioning community, trust normally that just kind of naturally creates itself. It comes about. It's a natural it's an offshoot of a functioning community. So sometimes you have to do something called initiatory reciprocity. You have to be the one to make the first step. You can't wait for somebody else to do it first. You can't wait for 3 other people to give cosigns. That's your neighbor. Y'all live in the same block. If their house burns down, yours could catch fire too. Nothing but a strong wind. So you're all in the same boat. So we gotta not see the worst in ourselves.
It's not seeing the worst. I think it's about being realistic. And I do understand what you're saying, and I do think that there's a medium in the middle between the two. But we're not talking about silverware. We're talking about people who have lost rent money. So now they don't have money to pay for their rent for their families for the next month. So these are things that are actual issues. I think that it's important for us to recognize our actual issues and deal with them, and not just act like they're not there, and then just kind of move on.
Are you saying that black people are thieves? And I don't think they are.
I think some black people are thieves. Yes, I do think that. I think that's the reality.
I would like to interject for a second and saying this is where it comes in, where we need an actual institution where people are not directly in our homes, right? So we need to organize.
What's wrong with people being in your home? If you don't trust them, you can't build no community, even if you meet in church. If you don't trust me, then you have to have trust. But we can't get around this issue of trust.
Right, and I agree with you 100%. But we're not going to initially let people in our house because, like the sister said, there are some people who have sexual behaviors, right, where you can leave your child down and they might molest your child. So what I'm saying is that if we set the trap Basically meaning if we put the paint in the Easter basket, then eventually the people will show their behaviors. So we don't have to directly bring them in our house. We have to organize within an institution of our own and then see who we weed out and that could be the process, right? Because you can only hide that you're a thief for so long. You can only hide your you're going to say something that's going to expose yourself for who you really are. So directly bringing people in our house and organizing within our house may not be the best idea at this moment, because the reality is some of our people do. No, I'm being real, brother. Some of our people do have issues. You know, we are under this system of white supremacy, so we have adopted their mentality where a degree where we will come in someone's home like they came in people's land and steal something, you know, from their land. So we have adopted that, and we got to realize that's a fundamental fact that we think like the Europeans. So until we can weed that out and weed those people out, I don't think that it's a good idea to have people all function in the house.
So number one, so you want to, we established that we don't trust folks. Cool. Number two, why is it when we talk about bringing folks in, we jump to the negative? Why? In other words, healthy development starts with the positive. You're sacrificing all the great things that can happen because you're scared of the things that go wrong. And I understand where it comes from, right? And that's part of the dysfunctionality of black development. Again, Amos Wilson writes about this in Development Psychology of the Black Child. You know, you're constantly being warned, follow the rules, don't do this, don't do that, right? When if you're really going to have a functioning community, you got to tell kids, be free. You got to actually let the kids just, roam, make mistakes, because in that making mistakes, they have discovery, and you're trying to, it's more important for you to focus on the better things they do. Encourage good behavior than punishing bad, because all you do when you punish bad behavior, you leave a child confused, or leave a person confused, so they know what not to do, but no one's ever told them what to do.
Right.
And so when we jump to the negative, the first thing, it speaks to where we can't go forward. We have to see the best in ourselves. That means you have to see the positive first. If I say bring folks in your home, you're not focusing on the million things that can go wrong. You got to see the one thing that can go right.
Right. So I hear what you're saying. I'm sorry, Mark. I just want to say one thing. I hear what you're saying, and it's not focusing on the wrong. I think it's focusing on what already has gone wrong. Like I mentioned before, my parents' generation was when there was a lot more, hey, come on in, you need this. Oh, you can stay over. Oh, your children. Oh, your husband. Oh, whatever. You can stay on over on the couch. I got a guest room. You can come over for breakfast. You can watch my children. My children come into your house. We did that. And now, 20 years later, 30 years later, we're hearing about the many young children during that time frame who went into this person's house and that person's house and who were molested, who were raped, who were, a whole bunch of things. And so now we have that generation of lack of trust. But it's not because we just want to.
So you see folks and you think, and they're rapists.
Hold on. Not because we don't want to, because we're learning from our mistakes. So now, like the brother said before, being more selective, having a more
letting open, people in your home was a mistake.
Having a more open space, and then and having a selective people coming in there, and then, like he mentioned, kind of keeping your eyes open and seeing where we can go, and then we have a group of people who are actually trustworthy, where we can actually do the work, and that's what I agree with.
But why do you start with the negative? Why do we start with what can go wrong? Exactly. And you're assuming
in reality, my brother, the world works on that equilibrium. On
it doesn't.
And positive, right?
No, it doesn't. So communities work on positive.
Oh, okay, but let's be realistic. You got the sun, you got the moon. You got negative, you got positive, right? So you can't start your car out a negative and a positive charge. Two magnets can't go on the same side. If you try to put magnets on the same, they're not gonna go, no matter how hard you force them. So we must do it in reality that we want to focus on positive, but we have negative within the community, and that's a fundamental reality. That's all I'm saying.
I'll tell you a quick story. I'm gonna tell you a quick story, not so we can move on.
No.
Quick story. Previous host.
Wait. Can we hold off on the quick story as we have to go into a commercial break, right? And then we'll jump right back in. Maintenance means maintenance. Maintenance time.
We'll be back, y'all. Sit tight.
For the black of it.
Peace, prosperity, and salutations. I am Yurima Karama, motivational speaker, artist, liberationist, and founder of The Unity Walk, a 501c3 charitable organization that is geared towards the liberation and unification of melanated communities around the country. Our next Unity Walk is taking place December 1st in New York at 1942 Amsterdam Avenue at 156th Street. So if you are in the New York City area, please come out for that. Again, this is towards the liberation and unification of black melanated communities around this country. Come out and be a part of history in the making. One.
Welcome back to On the Wake Up Radio. This is the For the Black of It. The Black is 2 hours of your week. We got Sister Marcia and got myself, Oz. We got our two guests. I want to shout out to our producer, Sister Cindy Ashby, our engineer, Brother Ra. You can catch us on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, whatever platform you choose, we're there. Follow us, like us, So, Sister AU, Brother Hassan, you with us?
Yes, peace.
I'm here.
Good. So I was going to say a quick story. So the other show I do on Wake Up Radio is called The Appeal. Comes on next week Thursday, and my co-host is one of my co-hosts is Brother John Logan. I'll tell you the story. His wife is a police officer, all right, and so she was on a detail once with an Asian partner. Might get mad at me for telling the story, but it needs to be told. And so when you're doing a traffic stop, right? There's an angle at which you're supposed to pull someone over, right? You're supposed to pull up diagonally so both officers have a clear view of any movement or suspicious movement going on in the car. Yada, yada. But so the Asian guy is driving. He pulls over to the left side of the car, and he looks over his partner's shoulder, which is Brother Johnson Logan's wife, to talk to the guy in the car. And she looks at him like, "What are you doing? You put me in harm's way. Are you crazy?" And the Asian guy looks at her and says, "He's Asian. What are you talking about?" He can't see nothing negative in something that looks like himself. No, he doesn't start from the positive. He doesn't start from the negative. He starts from the positive. He sees another Asian man. He's safe. If it was a black person, we got to shoot him. But no, it's an Asian guy, so it's safe. No other group sees negative in their own. Right? That's what they do, and they do have problems, right? You kill where you live. Most white folks are killed by white folks. Most Hispanics are going to be killed by Hispanics. That's the way it is. Most Asians are killed by Asians, but yet and still, they still see the best in themselves. They can't see nothing negative, even though negative things obviously happen. So I'm just saying, we don't have to. Yeah, Brother Hassan.
Okay, well, when dealing with that, we have to understand that belief determines behavior. So the things that you believe, the things that you have been associated or assimilated or, brought up to be indoctrinated with are the things that you're going to believe. Asian people don't have that stereotype of violence connected to them. White people may be the most violent people on the planet, but they still don't have that attached to them. So when again, belief determines behavior. So the fact that we have been indoctrinated to be afraid of ourselves plays a role in that as well. Right? Now, there's a scene from Boys in the Hood. I'm sorry?
Why do we accept it?
Why do we accept it? Well, a lot of things play into the subconscious. And that's a part of the brain that we necessarily don't control. So we have to unlearn those things. Those are things that we have to truly unlearn. And I'm not disagreeing with you on the fact that we should be open-minded to our people, right? But I'm saying we must be cautious as well and take in all the factors when trying to empower ourselves.
Exactly. And this is where I say there is a marriage in what everyone is saying, right? Brother Hassan brought up a great point of having a free space where we collect individuals, we get to know individuals, and then form breakout groups, right? And with those breakout groups, they're going to be specific tasks that we're going to grow with, right? If if it's through reading, if it's through exercise, or through those 9 lists that Neely Fuller and Dr. Cress Wilson has brought to us as our principles of life, if those are those areas that we're going to focus on in the home, where we've already filtered out and we already feel that trust. And yes, it's hard for us to have trust in our communities. There's a lot of shit that happen in our communities.
A lot of stuff happens in every community.
But we're not in
and I just want to add,
we're in our community, and I don't want.
But a lot of stuff happens in everyone's community. They still don't see themselves as negative.
I don't care what's happening in somebody else's community. I care about what's happening in my community and how I can.
But my point is, that's not an
community.
excuse.
I'm not
to not trust
making
black
an
people.
excuse. What I am saying
I want to add this.
I want to be in a free space, get to know the person, and then bring them into my home. Because, again, a lot of shit happens in your homes. And if you haven't been privy to things that break homes,
I'm not saying
things that break people, then you have.
I'm not saying you let people walk to your house willy-dilly, but I'm saying you can invite me. I'm not saying you leave them. I'm saying just come to my living room. You know what I mean?
A predator does things in ways.
But why do you look at black people and see predators? We shouldn't be looking at black people and see predators.
I'm not saying just black people. I'm just talking about predators now. Predators can be in one space and then do something really quickly, like go to the I'm going to the bathroom, and on their way to the bathroom, something happens.
But why do you see the negative? I mean, niggas ain't shit. I tell you.
May I interject for a moment?
Niggas ain't shit. But go ahead, Brother Hassan.
Well,
I think Sister AU wanted to say something first.
No. Brother Hassan started first, and then Sister AU goes on.
Okay.
Please and thank you.
Here's another fact that we have to realize. No other culture has been through the type of indoctrination and oppression that we've been through. So when we're comparing ourselves to other people, that's putting us at a disadvantage. If it took Europeans 500 years to get us like this, it's going to take a lot longer to remove the shackles off of our brain. So when we start comparing ourselves to other people as far as, they don't do that, then that's doing a disadvantage because they haven't been through what we've been through. And they're still not going through what we go through.
Exactly.
So do you think by behaving differently, by not trusting blacks, is a way we're going to build community and move forward?
I'm not saying not to trust them. We're not saying not to trust them. We're saying we go into a free space first.
What you're saying is you're going to create cliques. With what we have now. So therefore, I don't trust niggas, but I'm going to say you're not the same as the rest.
So here's the point. We were just having this conversation, right? We met a brother recently, and we engaged well with the brother, right? And we were talking about whether the brother should just come on over to the big house. And we were like, let's get to know the brother before we give him the address to the big house. Yes or no?
No, but that wasn't the reason. That wasn't the reasoning. The reason it didn't revolve around trust. The reasoning was around strategy and purpose.
But strategy and purpose also means trust.
Let me ask you a question. Brother Oz, do you believe that there are pedophiles that are black people?
No. Yes, I don't believe any pedophile says I'm going to do this in the name of black people. Black people don't do those things. He's just a Negro or an individual, but he's not black.
Ask my question again so it could be answered. Do you believe that there are pedophiles that are black? Yes or no?
No. I don't believe pedophiles act in the name of being black. They're mulatto. They might be melanated. They might have dark skin, but they don't do it in the name of black. Black people who are conscious of who they are do not act in those kind of ways.
But I didn't ask you about
don't claim nobody that don't claim you.
Wait, I agree, Brother Oz. But listen, the people that we're trying to attract are not conscious yet, and that's what you're missing. They're not conscious. You just said people who are conscious don't act like that. We're trying to attract the people who aren't conscious. So what I'm saying is you can't bring the people who aren't conscious of themselves in your home yet because they haven't been vetted. That's the point I'm trying to make.
There you go.
But that creates cliques. And cliques is what we already have.
It doesn't create cliques.
On this topic and move forward because he's not going to say what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
So, everybody has a purpose, and usually that purpose is your passion throughout your life's journey, right? And with that being said, everybody feels as if their purpose is more important than everybody else's. If I'm a healer through herbs, I feel like everybody should be taking herbs daily. If Sister Marcia is a vegan, she's going to feel like everybody needs to be vegan, and that's going to solve all our problems. If Brother Hassan is for self-defense and, has this and has that, everybody needs to go to the gun range once a week. We always feel like our purpose is more important. If you are the free-spirited African man who believes, who's more trustworthy, that's cool. But you shouldn't do that. You should be able to invite people into your home. You should be able to do whatever the case may be. That is your prerogative. But I don't think it's wrong for us to have where we are, our mindset. I think that what Brother Hassan and Sister Marcia mentioned before about us having a free space, having those people there, and it's not clicks. Nobody mentioned anything about clicks. It's actually getting together, seeing the vouching, the trustworthiness of people, and then moving forward and what the objective is. I don't see anything wrong with that. If you want to allow people in your home over, have dinners, be around your children, I hope that they're very protective over your children if you have them, then that's fine. That's your thing. But I don't think that one is, like Marcia said, I don't think one is wrong than the other. But I think that it is smart for people to move forward with a little extra protection. That's how I feel.
No problem. Like we're just I wasn't talking about a specific activity. What I was really speaking to was trusting your people you're around, right? In order to build community, we have to have trust. A lot of times we get into a whole lot of other activities and we forget about trust, like it ain't important. You know what I mean? Trust is not something that you just give.
But
it's earned.
One of the most
right?
important things that we have to also remember is that, a lot of organizations have fell because they were allowing everyone in at the same time, right? And during this process, people came in with other agendas and co-opted your original agenda because you didn't have time to vet that person. You didn't know whether that person was credible. You gave that person a task and that task wasn't fulfilled. So now whatever project was, now there's 2 people working 3 times as hard because we hoped that someone else was going to do that job. And that takes trust. That takes getting to know a person. That takes small activities to see whether that person is worthy of a larger activity. And that is part of community building, because a lot of times we will form, a block association or something, and we rely on Betty to bring the cookies. We all meet up, and Betty doesn't bring the cookies. I don't know why I chose Betty and not Shamika.
But Betty, you trusting Betty to bring the cookies mean you trusted her. That's what I'm saying. You still started from a trust. You didn't say, nah, Betty ain't going to bring the cookies. You gave her a chance.
But Betty doesn't bring the cookies. So now guess
cool.
what?
Well, let me elaborate on that.
To the store. Somebody has to do something extra that didn't need to happen if we had only known whether or not Betty was qualified.
But there's nothing wrong with that either, because now I learned something more about that person who had to go to the store. Like, okay, I can rely on them in a crunch. So that's not even about Betty. So the thing is that Betty did something wrong. The thing is that you did something right. I don't focus on Betty. You went to the store last minute. Damn, I'm going to give the credit to Marcia. I'm not talking negative about Betty. I'm talking positive about Marcia. You think it's all in your veil and the way you look at it. But yeah, let's move forward.
Yes, Brother Hassan, last comment on this topic, and then we're going to move forward.
Cool.
Yes.
I just want to add that, if you study history and you look at the American Revolution, only 1/3 of the population participated in the American Revolution. So I'm not in it for numbers. I'm not in it for the amount of people that we can get together. I want a solid 300. I want my Sparta crew that will walk into the flames, because it's not about the numbers at the end of the day.
No, it's not about
numbers. On the same. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So we have to weed out some people. No, but we have to weed out some people.
Am I on air?
Welcome, caller. State your name and where you're calling from. Sorry, Brother Hassan.
Oh, what? That's okay. I'm sorry about that. My name is Joel, and I'm calling out of Las Vegas.
Peace, Joel. Peace, Brother Joel.
Wonderful. Just to comment on what y'all talking about. I think where y'all going with this is we can't repeat the same history that we have already done before, as far as getting to know the person and building a solid foundation of people that's going to support the actual cause and the effect that we're trying to take. I believe the Black Panthers had people infiltrate them. Marcus Garvey had somebody infiltrate him, as well as Dr. King and whatnot. So I believe what she's basically stating is what she don't want the history to repeat itself, and actually screening certain individuals, in this case, would probably be the proper idea.
Okay, bro. I appreciate that.
We agree. We all agree, except probably one. So we're gonna go on to the next question. Brother, you are welcome to stay on the line, or put your phone on mute, or hit us up on the wake up call on the wakeupradio.com. However you want to listen, feel free.
Sure.
So we talked about promotion a little bit. We'll get back to some more promotion in a minute. But now let's talk about African-centeredness and how we get our people into a world of disregarding the Eurocentric ways and moving forth to look towards our ancestors, to look towards things that were established in the past as greatness, as a stepping stone, because we tend to leave ourselves in the 400-year mark and not think about before the 400 years and what we can create now in the present. Anyone jump in? Anytime.
Sister, you?
Anytime.
Well, yes. Well, I basically feel as if just understanding the difference of where we are now versus, what was going on back in the day is we have a whole, like I think Brother Hassan mentioned. I'm getting the voices mixed up. I think it's Brother Hassan. He had mentioned that, so much has changed within generations, and what we have now, what we can do with now. It's kind of hard because we're dealing with people who are so distracted, and that somebody mentioned the different, I forgot the Instagram page or the website, World Star, and all those different websites, and sports and music and celebrity worship, all these different things that are a big distraction. And especially when it comes to our children respect celebrities more than they respect elders in the street. Not all, but some, There are more of our children who know more about Cardi B lyrics and why she fought Nicki Minaj than our actual ancestors who put their lives on the line to have a better future for them. So I think a lot of what happens going forward is the responsibility of the family, the responsibility of the mother and the father in the household, and making sure that they are aware, they are living in a good character, and when they raise their children, they're also doing those things. They're making sure that the children know they're guiding them through their purpose. They are having a healthy diet, a healthy decrease of influence on the outside from maybe children who are not having that same lifestyle, or the media and entertainment and all that good stuff. They have good culture being taught in their home. I think that is underrated, that we don't understand. And regardless if you're able to have your children homeschooled or not, they still should be given a good dose of their culture on a daily basis. Making sure they're aware that they are beautiful, their skin, their features, their hair, their culture prior to being enslaved. These things are very important, that I don't think that is happening enough. I do see that there has been a shift, and I'm just going according to my perspective, because prior to me being, or my awareness awakening, or whatever you want to call it, I had no idea a lot of this stuff was happening. I had no idea about a lot of these esteemed elders and ancestors prior to me, getting this awakening and doing my own research and hearing things here and there and hearing a name and then researching him or her and then seeing how much they have done and what they have done is changed our history and our future. So it takes, social media could definitely be a part of that. I learned and I know people like to ish or crap on, I don't know if you guys allow curses on here, on social media, saying that it's not this, it's not that, but I think it's an excellent tool. Yes, it's important to know how to use it, but I think it's an excellent tool with giving information. So for those who want to learn, because as we know, it's possible that not all of us are going to learn in this lifetime or even want to learn and will learn. But if you have that desire, if you keep getting that reminder, hey, this is your purpose, this is what you're supposed to be doing, you're constantly being placed within certain things within your journey in order to get your purpose fulfilled. Once you keep getting those reminders and you actually start listening to it, then I see more and more that happening, and I do feel more and more there being a positive end with that, with what's going on with social media and people letting go of organized religions, eating better, thinking for themselves, getting back to our culture. I see a lot of that happening nowadays.
Wonderful. Okay, that was wonderful, sister. First and foremost, I must say that the nigger and the African can't live in the same body. And we must understand
Ashe. Keep going.
We must understand that from the Americas to the Caribbean and on the continent, we have been given a niggerized version of our African culture. Now, what do I mean by niggerized version of African culture? You have people in Africa who take pride in speaking the European language before they take pride in speaking their tribal dialect. Mm-hmm. You have people in West Africa who would tell you, oh, yeah, I speak French. Oh, I live in Paris. So they have been niggerized. Same thing in America, same thing in the Caribbean. We have to understand that no African is better than any other African. No matter the living circumstances, the level of media coverage you receive, we are still on the equal playing field when it comes to being oppressed, just in different forms.
That's right.
So you first have to understand racism and how it effectively destroys us as African beings, right? I watched the episode on 60 Minutes where they was doing a coverage on Miami. And they were saying how, there was some Haitian guys in Miami, a group of 30 guys, who end up scamming the federal government out of $20 million because they were doing tax fraud online. And they caught up with a few of the guys and they locked them up and they were doing interviews. And they asked them, where's the money? And they said foreign cars, strip clubs, big chains. And so these 30 dudes scammed $20 million of tax-free money and did nothing with it. So until we understand that how racism affects us, even when we're doing negative, we still benefit in racism. We're taking our money and giving it back to the oppressor in the form of flashiness. So in not understanding racism, we're going to keep on falling victim to this niggerized culture that they have placed on us. When you have people in positions in power where Haiti can't get straight, Ghana can't get straight because we got neo-colonialism. A lot of people think, well, Africans ain't got white people over there oppressing them. They don't have to oppress you if they can oppress you from their country, from their homeland. Same thing with the Caribbean. All they do is sit back, put a puppet in office, have him take the resources, give it to other people, and then it creates confusion and all type of stuff. We got to know how the CIA works. The CIA is designed to overthrow other governments and we don't know these things. So the first thing is getting rid of niggerized African culture, because we have that, and then understanding how racism works.
Yep, everyone should read the CIA Hitmen.
But distractions have... Having distractions have always been a part of our community. I would want to use one as an example. Yeah, it is.
Okay, go ahead.
I would believe the elders back then, when rap kind of like started out, they were saying that was a distraction.
That's true.
And now it's a powerful tool being used in all kind of mechanism ways. But still in all, it was taken away from what we was trying to get to, and I think we was on Black Power back then. And then I believe rap came.
Brother Joel, can we make this assertion that because our elders at that time, and some maybe ancestors, didn't see the value of the new age or the future generation, they didn't see the value in the lyrics, that they tore them down before they could use them as tools, right? Because if our elders, and present ancestors had seen, or Eguns, however it goes, right, had seen the value in that, they could have cultivated a new generation of power, right? Because they would have used it. They would have used it as their assets. They allowed the other group of people to use it as an asset to destroy our communities. We never had an opportunity to maintain those things, and that's a lot happens right now. We have a lot of great ideas and great opportunities, but
we sell them.
We're not allowed to. Exactly, we're not allowed.
We sell our ideas.
We are not allowed to cultivate those ideas. We are not allowed to birth them and see them to a next level. So we're already giving it away because we already think it's no good. And so we're
because we hungry. We ain't got nothing. We create something and we sell it so fast just to put something on the table. Basically, that's all it is. We'll create something based upon the fact that we're hungry, and we're hungry enough to sell it.
Here's the problem with that. You don't eat from everybody's hand, and that's how you get poisoned.
No. I'm talking about basically as an example, Dr. Dre's idea, or myself, me making a product that benefits everybody, but still in all, just like me creating rap, and no one in the elder sees the benefit of it, but everyone over here in our slight and plumness sees this as a joyous tool to get away from the despair that we're living in.
Right.
So basically, that's all rap was created for. They took it, seeing that how we so prone to music, beats and lyrics, use that as a weapon against us, and just like any other thing.
But so again, to my point is that our elders didn't see value in people who's 50 and over's music, right? Because our elders would be 70s and stuff like that, right? So this is the generation.
Well, they didn't see the benefit. No one ever sees the benefit of it at first. No one ever sees the benefit of it at first. But over time, they enjoyed it.
But we never controlled it, though. The problem with any of that stuff, we never controlled it. We weren't the ones actually putting it out. We don't control the radio stations. We don't control the record companies.
No, we don't control distribution. We don't know nothing about distribution. None of that stuff.
Even if you made the most positive songs that had the most positive artists, no one would hear it because you don't control nothing. You got to start controlling the whole system. You know what I mean? If you were distributing a milk, like...
Okay, great. So we're going to go into our next break, and then we're going to go into economics. Please tune in. This is For the Black of It. Thank you for Brother Joel for jumping in. Brother Hassan, I appreciate you. AU, you're the greatest. Oz, the defender.
The worst.
Yes. I love you. Okay, For the Black of It, break.
Welcome back to For the Black of It. The blackest 2 hours of your week on the Wake Up Radio. Back to our discussion. It's been a lively one this time, right? We got Sister AU with us. We got Brother Hassan. We got my co-host, Sister Marcia, and Brother Joel. You still with us? Brother Joel? I'm not sure if we lost him. But
he might be on mute.
Okay. So where were we, Marcia?
So we touched upon African-centeredness, and now let's talk about economics.
Malefia Sante.
Let's talk about some economics and how we could work together in building something. And also, there's a lot of GoFundMes out here and GoFundMe this and GoFundMe that. How do we maintain accountability in these GoFundMes as we support them, as we promote them, as we challenge ourselves and our people to build, right? Because supposedly this is the idea of the GoFundMe, right? That I want to build something, I want to create something, I want to leave legacy for our community that's going to last 100 years. And how do we? So a couple of parts of the question. So.
Okay. May I, AU?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, for those who may not know, recently I started a GoFundMe for Dr. Amos Wilson's headstone, and that was completed. The headstone is done. It's up in New York. I raised the money and paid for it. Everything's done. But with that being said,
I didn't know that was going on. I appreciate it.
It's actually on my Instagram. Yeah, it's on my Instagram if you want to view the headstone. But with that being said, before we donate to any situation, we have to check the person's character, right? Character is very important when dealing with money and dealing with contracts.
Absolutely.
If the person doesn't have a steadfast character, doesn't have discipline about themselves, then they're easy to be, mischievous or tricked into any way. So it all goes down to character. I'm not just going to donate to anybody if I see that you have a taste for designer clothing, because going into economics, that shows that you have a Eurocentric ideology. Now, I'm not saying we can't have nice things. I'm saying who's defining what is nice, right?
There you go.
Now, we're touching on economics. We must understand that economics falls hand in hand with culture. Culture and identity. People spend with who they identify with. You don't see Asian people, Jewish people spending their money with black people because they don't identify with them. But the fact that we have a niggerized African culture, we spend our money with everybody. And we don't care to keep our money with ourselves because we don't truly identify with being African and understanding the concept of being African. And that's why I say a lot of these new movements, the Hebrew Israelites and the indigenous groups, are very dangerous to what we're trying to do because they further separate us from identifying with people. That's a different story for another time, talking about economics. So once you realize that what you value, right, and if you value European ideology, then you're going to spend on European materialism. A lot of our people don't value getting African garments. They don't value going to Africa. I see people on Instagram all the time. They're in Spain, they're in Europe. They don't even want to step foot. So it comes to understanding our culture, creating a new culture on top of that, right? And focusing economics amongst our people. So culture and economics go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Sister AU?
Yes, sir. I definitely agree, Brother Hassan. That was wonderfully said. I would just add that during the break, Sister Marcia asked us briefly about any plans that we may have for 2019. And I just basically spoke about structure, organization, creating a plan, creating dates to go with those plans. And I feel like that is also important when it comes to economics, when it comes to anything going forward. We are the most creative people. We are the most talented people. So everything else under the sun. We do lack in structure and organization. I think that's pretty obvious, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are. We would have possibly gotten out of this situation. So we have all the great ideas. We have all the different, knowledge levels. We have all the information in the world, but we don't create plans. And if we do create plans, there's not enough people to back it up or structure. I think that should be going forward with just for 2019, what's considered 2019. If we're going to talk about economics, I'm not trying to crap on shea butter companies and hoodie companies or jewelry companies at all. What I am saying is I feel like there are so many other industries that we can create or get involved in when it comes to economics and creating businesses. I think that when it comes... I'm sorry?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Okay.
Are you a
Hi.
sister?
Yes, I'm sorry. Hi, I'm with Joel. Joel, I'm doing fine. He just placed the phone to my ear. I apologize. I was absent-minded of what was going on, but I heard the word economics, and I feel like I'm all ears.
Okay, okay. So just tune in and please state your name.
My name's Bobby.
Bobby. Hi, Bobby. All right, just
hey,
Sister AU is giving us an analysis on economics. We're just listening in really attentively as she lays it down. Go ahead, sis.
Okay, thank you. Where was I? I was speaking about, creating a plan. So, having basically, if you are, let's just say Brother Hassan, he owns an auto shop in Philly, and he has some children. His children should know everything that he knows about fixing a car, building a car, whatever the case may be. Now, they may not choose that to be their journey when it comes to collecting green money, green paper, but at least they had that skill, they had that talent, or skill, should I say. If Sister Marcia, if you have a beauty salon, or you have a nail salon, or you own your own attorney, law office, firm, there you go. Your children should know everything about law. If they decide to go into that field, they have that information. I feel like we are slacking in that. So when it comes to economics, I don't feel like we're creating a structural system for our children to succeed in a successful way, in a way that it actually works for us. It would definitely be nice to have more structure. So when we're talking about going forward, having more of a plan, if I have a child, me and my kids, we're going to have a plan on who's going to be home to homeschool, who's going to be collecting the green paper so that we can take care of the bills or whatever the case may be. If they're going to be homeschooled, how they're going to be homeschooled. What is the goal for them? Are we going to put funds to the side for them to either go to college if they want to or start their own business? These are the things that should be discussed, while I'm pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Or before we even discuss having children, or when we first even start dating. So just really having more of a structural understanding of economics. And that's in the long-term goal, because we're talking about the future. But talking about right now in the present, just basically doing more supporting of Black-owned businesses. I mentioned how saturated the skincare, hair care, body care, business is. So that basically means that there's no excuse why every Black person doesn't have a Black-owned product or Black-owned products for their hair, for their skin, for their teeth, for everything, because there's so many different varieties of it. If you like shea butter, if you like charcoal, whatever you need in order to get your skin look perfect and natural and everything, we need to start looking in that direction. So everybody should have hair locked down with Black-owned businesses. Hair care as well. If you're natural, if you're relaxed, if you're weaved, if you're locked, whatever the case may be, it's basically you should have Black-owned products in your home when it comes to skin and hair care. T-shirts, we got that on lock too. When you're in your casual wear, you should be wearing a Black-owned business on your body. If you're at work, that's one of the industries we need to work on, right? There's not too many companies that I know of personally that make, if you are in an office in the corporate world, who makes corporate clothing.
Apparel.
I'm sorry?
Tracy Reese?
No.
Tracy Reese, what's that?
She's a sister that makes clothes, but she does not. She is not. She's corporate. We're talking about economics. We're talking about our businesses that are out here. Yeah,
right.
Yes, she does do things, but she's already corporate, right?
But wait a minute. So we shouldn't do corporate? I'm not sure.
No. I'm not saying we shouldn't do corporate. Listen, you like corporate. You will go into these other
that's where you can have a business.
You will go into, listen, and that's fine. Everyone can do whatever they want as long as you're supporting Blacks. You have no problem going. You have no problem going into Macy's and buying from the sister. Fine, buy from her. But if you choose to find a tailor, if you choose to find, there are a lot of people on internet that have businesses that caters to this type of apparel, but they're not highlighted as much, or they're basically in the UK, which makes it really difficult, right? Because I'm the type of person, I want to try on stuff, because I go to the store, I look at it in the picture and it looks great. I go to the store, I got a lot of curves in lots of places. But that's a sister issue, right? It's vanity. We need to release that. But that's things that sisters deal with, or maybe brothers deal with it too. I can't know. But what I do know for a fact is that I personally will not go into a Macy's to support any brother or sister. That is my hue, because that's just me, right? I would rather go to the 99-cent store. I would rather go to the 99-cent store and pick up something versus giving Macy's half of the dollar that they're giving back to the brother.
But you don't own the 99-cent store neither.
But I'm only paying 99 cents, so I'm good.
But you're still giving it away. You're giving 100% of the dollar away as opposed to 25% of a dollar.
99 cents. I'm good.
But you're still giving all that 99 cents away.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree with you. And I'm good. And you got to respect that. Thank
you. Like we were saying, when it comes to supporting Black-owned businesses, we need more of, not that brand that you mentioned. I'm not familiar with. I don't think I am anyway. But
she's a fancy girl. She makes dresses for like Michelle Obama and stuff like that.
Okay. So,
right, Sam?
You're right. I'm more businesses. Small businesses. So, for example, just people who are just getting started, because they need the most help, I would say.
That's true. I agree with that.
Those are the things I'm saying that we need to look at, instead of us getting into our comfortable zone of making hoodies and making shea butters or whatever, because we have a lot of that, and which we all should be supporting. I think that we should definitely look on the outside. I just went to the We Buy Black convention in Atlanta. I think that was 2 weekends ago. And I saw a few businesses that I highlighted personally because it was such a unique business.
Hold on, sis.
Okay.
Brothers and sisters, can someone please mute their line? Hello?
Hi, can you hear us better?
This is Bobby?
Yes, this is. I believe that.
Okay. Could you just mute your phone until you're ready to talk, please? Because there's some feedback coming in. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
So at the We Buy Black convention, there was this one sister who she made a sheet set. It was, like a kente material or design. But basically, it was a Black-owned company that she was making beds for. She had her own sheets, blue sheets, and pillowcases. And it was something that I haven't seen before. And I really got excited about that. So we are seeing more people. There's a brother who had, him and his son and his wife, had a company called Brownages, I think it was called. So basically, it was our complexions with Band-Aids. They were making that. So there's a few different people who are already doing that. I would like to see more of that. I'd like to see more Black people creating that plan from the beginning of the year. If it's going to be a family-based business, if it's an individual-based business, saying, you know what, I don't see a Black-owned business making X, Y, and Z, making pillows, well, they are pillows, making dishes, making silverware. It doesn't even have to have cultural colors.
But can I do agree with that. We do need to diversify what we offer. But can I jump in for a second? The concept of economics really isn't about money. It's really about just exchange and producing things. I agree. Whatever we consume, we need to produce. Right? If you buying shoes, we need to be making them. If you're drinking water, we need to be the ones getting it. I was about to say making it, but we can't make water yet. But it's more about those businesses then supporting each other. It's not enough for you to go support a Black person so they can buy fancy cars. It's about them hiring Blacks, them sourcing their materials from blacks. So it's not enough for you to be a go-between between me and white folks. You need to be also, we had a whole black business accountable for them to support. I had a brother here who's making sweaters, so I asked him where to get his buttons. You know, he said he had to go to white folks. We can make buttons. You know what I mean? And in that case...
It sounds good. And what I would just say to that is we mentioned, several people already mentioned in this show so far, that we are 400 plus years in whatever you want to say, in the hole or negative or whatever. It's going to take time to get to what you just spoke about. So
no, but we've been having those businesses since slavery. There were black businesses, there was black millionaires and black businesses making heavy money during slavery.
Well, I was in the wrong sentence. Let me just finish what I was saying. Okay, so basically, if right now he has to pay maybe a nickel for those buttons, but there's a black-owned company maybe in Canada who charges $1, but maybe in 2 years they'll be able to afford that. Then that's what he or she has to do. I think that I don't think that we should now be telling people it's already difficult. Leave their job.
We're supposed to be supporting businesses. You talk about supporting businesses. You got to encourage other people to do the same.
There are folks that get there to where we're getting, and I think that we should have patience and be proud of what people are doing. I hear what you're saying, and I think that we're going to get there. But I think that we should allow people to do that, because I don't know if everybody on this phone has their own business. I hope so, but how can we to people have to put their business? It takes time. So I'm not talking about the people who are taking our money and going to buy a Lexus. I'm not talking about that. But we won't know what people are doing in their personal life. It's going to take time for us to get to where we want to be. Right now, we need more black-owned businesses. And then, yes, of course, we need more black-owned and African-minded black-owned businesses. And that's going to take time for us to even know that.
Brother Hassan? And
yes.
Who's running?
You got a lot of people on there. Actually, I want to one quick story. This happened.
No, no story, Brother Hassan. We'll get back to your story, Brother Oz.
Well, my thing is, since we've been so Europeanized, right? A lot of us enter in the business sector for capitalistic reasons, and that is we can't compete with the European in economics because the European creates the money. Right? So we're never going to outball him. We're never going to do him in that aspect. When people say they want to open a business, I say, for what? To compete in capitalism? Because capitalism essentially, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm giving a scenario. I'm giving a scenario. Capitalism essentially is to capitalize off of somebody else's weakness, to have them work for you. That's what an employee is. When you break the word employee down, ploy means to trick somebody, to have them work for you. And so if we're going to repeat that same system on our people, and then we're just using that same oppressive system to do that. Now, if we are going to practice economics, it has to be from a level of love, Afrocentricness, and not about the dollar. Because a lot of us get into it for the dollar and not for the love of employing our people, providing benefits for them, et cetera, et cetera. Now, another thing I wanted to say is that a huge problem I see in our community is that we ask our children what they want to be, and other cultures tell their children what they're going to be. That's a huge problem. You know what I'm saying? Because children are always going to, I want to do this, I want to do that. We have to instill that discipline. Listen, this is what you are going to be. I have faith in you to do so. And as well, open our own shops and pass them on to our children if need be. But the number one thing I want to say is, in order to understand the problem, you have to understand who benefits from that problem. So when we look at the lack of black businesses, when we look at, statements being made in our community about black-on-black violence, incarceration, the problem with the black love dynamic, don't look at the people suffering from it. Let's look at the people benefiting from the broken families, the broken love dynamic, the fact that we can't trust each other, because those are the people that essentially are creating those problems within our community. So once we get those fundamental principles down, then we can move in a circle and do whatever we need to do as far as a community. And just to add to that statement, the media has been going, or not the media, but social media has been going on and on about DeAndre Wilder and his statement about, going off on the reporter and things like that. Yeah, the 400 years. A lot of times people may not understand racism in depth, and we're so easy to crucify them because they don't understand what we know. And Malcolm talked about that. Malcolm said, don't condemn people because they're not where you are. Remember, at one point you weren't where they are. I mean, or where you are now. Right. So we have to be patient with our people to some degree, right? Because some people just want to play around, and we don't have time to wait for everybody. So we have to be patient in educating our people and being loving to our people. Because when I go on other people's accounts, they be cussing out people that follow them. Oh, shut, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, that's not the way that you want to reach somebody. Yeah, no, it happens. And they block them because they ask a question. Now the question may be, ignorant. One out of innocence. Yeah, it might be ignorant out of ignorance or innocence. We don't know. But nevertheless, we shouldn't be so quick to just cut all people down. And that was just that was my ramble for the moment.
That was a wonderful ramble. So I just want to interject this part. So I work with a lot of small Black-owned businesses, and in my times with them, one of their largest complaints is that there'll be an event, a fair, a this or that, where they can meet other entrepreneurs out there and figure out about their business, and they may or may not merchandise from that place at a particular time, right? But at some point they do. But they say that they never find the reciprocity in it, right? Like, I shop from Mari, but Mari never shops from me. And I know Mari knows my products. Mari looks at my products, but Mari never comes and say, oh, sis, let me pick up this or pick up that. And I'm always at Mari's store like, oh, Mari, you got some new toothpaste. I like this one. It got peppermint in it. It's great. And then you come into my shop and you're like, oh, look at that mask. That's beautiful. It would look good in my wall. And you never buy it. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to leave it down right there for Sister Mari, because I know Sister Mari had her eye on it. And so there's something to say about when we shop Black and we own Black, do we return the buy Black process, right? Because it's really important to not only support businesses, but re-support businesses, right? And I think that's something that we have to try to re-inculcate into people, because just because, we're on this platform and this platform is doing all of this great stuff for us, this platform shouldn't find a problem with saying, oh, let me just pick up something from this place, right? And I think that's as sometimes part of our biggest problems, and one of the reasons a lot of small businesses or small entrepreneurs say, I'm going to just shut down factory because I'm having a hard time. I'm always shopping at this person's store, but this person never shops at my store. Is it that my stuff isn't quality enough? And if it's not quality enough, we shouldn't be afraid, if we build a rapport with someone, to tell them that, I appreciate your products, but it would be nice if you had the cold toothpaste that didn't leave my teeth black for an hour. There's that. I know there's another brand out there. I know there's got to be something better, but I really want to come back to your store. Can you, help source the better product out there for us? And that should be one of our goals in helping businesses prosper, because if we can't do that, then we're actually not helping, because we wouldn't have a problem telling the white man that his apples are bad. We go into the grocery stores, why you got rotten apples? I want fresh apples. The next day you come in, all the apples are fresh.
I believe they would buy the rotten apples.
They would make sure
well, with that being said, with that being said, our people have been so alienated, right, to who and what we are, that we have an issue with accepting criticism, right? We become defensive when it comes to someone evaluating a situation or item or whatever the case may be. We get defensive about that, right? And you can't be prosperous if you have a defensive mentality. You have to be able to open up, analyze, and move forward. So that's something that we really have to get over, that defensive nature. When someone says, hey, man, how about this? We automatically, oh, you hating. Well, there's a difference between hating and providing a positive opinion or feedback. There's a huge difference.
But there's also a way to provide positive feedback. You
Of
just
course,
can't
that's
come
why
in
I
and
say
meet somebody
we
the
have
first
to-
time and
No,
critique
that's
them.
why I say you have to develop
To work with 'em.
rapport with. You have to develop rapport with the entrepreneur. You
It
can't.
takes time,
I can't go into Oz's store and say, "Yo, Oz, your ice cream sucks."
Right.
No.
Like, who the hell are you?
No.
Kick rock.
Exactly. But
I don't know you.
we have a new caller. We have a new caller. Caller, please. Hi, caller.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank
I've
you.
listened to you
State
guys'
your name.
conversation for a minute. My name is Tracy. I'm from Cleveland. I've been listening to
Hi,
your conversation
Tracy from
for a minute.
Cleveland. Mhm.
And this is the craziest conversation that I've ever heard. This conversation makes absolutely no sense. So, in you guys' terms of what you guys are talking about, is that there should be black businesses, but in the same aspect that we should have our own business, care for our own businesses, but at the same time, gear our children and gear our businesses to the same people that you don't want to do business with. So you're saying when you raise your children, they shouldn't have a choice of what it is that they should do in life, because that's not what the other cultures do. So it's like it's hypocritical to say one thing, but you're putting it back towards the other thing. The other thing is, about supporting business. The whole point of having your own business is to be successful, make money, whatever it is. But you can't tell me to be successful in my business if I'm able to get my product out for 5 cents for a button, but you want me to hold off my business and lose money and pay more to go to Canada and get a button from somebody this African American or African Canadian for $1.50, and I can get it here for 5 cents. It's not only that you're going against what you're trying to do, but the same thing, you're supporting not just being African American is what you're saying to do, but in the same instance, you can't support being American by purchasing it here in America. I mean, the whole conversation has made no sense to me from beginning to end.
Okay, Tracy.
Okay, allow me to address that for one moment.
Hold on 1 second, brother. Hassan, hold on 1 second. Thank you, Tracy, for your comments. Two things that I want to just point out. When we're talking about black businesses, it is the mere fact that you're not buying your button for 5 cents here in America. You're actually going to China or India, and you're going to get your 5 cents button in a box of, $1 billion, which is great, right? So you saved. And you should use that as your launching platform, right? And I think that's the point that you haven't heard. We are not saying that you shouldn't get your 5 cents button. We're saying that's your launching platform. The other brother says no, and we are allowed to disagree with love on For the Black of It. But the other brother is saying, no, we should just hold out for the dollar buttons. But it hurts your launching point. And the sister from AU says, I think go to 5 cents, and then once I launch, I go to $1 to support the African that lives in Canada's business. But I need to launch my product first and develop, 1, a client base, and 2, inventory that makes sense. Because now I know what my customers' needs are, and I can go out there and create better quality items from an African that's in Canada for $1. I think, we're talking pretty quickly, and you didn't hear that. Secondly, Brother Hassan is saying,
entire conversation.
Okay, so I would hope that clears that up for you. And secondly, Brother Hassan is saying that in other cultures and in the continent and in some Caribbean places, right, it's really only here in the U.S. that we allow our children to be whoever they want to be. But in other places, it's like you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, because your parents are creating security for you. And here in the West, in the Northwest, they allow you to do whatever you want, and then you're out there talking about, I can't find this, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. But your parents were trying to create security for you. I know plenty of people from other African nations or nations in the diaspora that have children that have been raised here get their doctorates, their law degrees, and everything else, and then start other businesses. They use that as their launching platform. And we need to instill launching platforms into our society, into the Northwest Africans living here, because we're not understanding that you need to have some foundation and then go in. Brother Hassan, to you.
Well, I mean, you basically said everything I was going to say, but if you actually observe us here in the Americas and other cultures, we do the opposite of what they do, right? Everything they do, we do the opposite, and we wonder why we're not successful in this society. We support other groups. We let our children have free will, thinking that everybody's going to make it to the NBA, and when they bust their knee or don't even make it out of college, right? And we're sad about that. We're upset about that. So we have to start fundamentally realizing some things are reality. And what I'm saying is that don't set your child up for failure by saying, well, you're going to rap, go ahead. And then they spend X amount of dollars running the street, trying to live this facade, which is really the system of racism and white supremacy setting them up to fail, to make them believe that everybody can be a rapper, everybody can be a big drug boy, or everybody can be an NBA player. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that we should tell them, look, this is what you're going to do. Move in this path, instead of giving them that choice to get sucked into the system of racism and white supremacy and then spit out. Because that's essentially what happened.
But you know what? You're doing what you're generalizing your own culture by saying that this is what they're going to do. NBA, being a rapper, things like that. It's separate from every individual family as to what someone wants to do, whether it be a doctor or be a lawyer or anything else. You can't just, there's other cultures that do the same thing as you said, that said that this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to be, this is who you're going to marry. And they're oppressed. They're miserable because this is what the path that their family put them on. There's plenty of stories of people who are Indian, who are Asian, who are told to be a doctor or a lawyer. You are concerned about those folks because you just brought them up in this subject, so you have to be very concerned because you just brought it up. This is the thing. And with the,
I didn't bring
the
up black
platform
folks.
that you got, you brought up different cultures and what they said in regard. You want me to be specific in what culture you brought up when you just said the other cultures? I'm giving you an example. I'm giving you an example of who
caller,
of certain cultures.
There's a new caller. Can you hold on, Tracy from Cleveland?
Hello.
There's a new caller. Hi, caller.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
This is Bobby from Las Vegas. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Bobby.
Okay. Yes, I'm calling from Las Vegas actually, and I just wanted to project before the heighten of the emotions. I think what's happening is that some of what or systematically have an availability in regards to infrastructure for our culture is definitely necessary. It's something that we are lacking if you're talking about communities or communities of culture. On the other hand, I don't think that there, of course, without a platform, there comes a will. And if your will of freedom is to try to figure out what you're supposed to be doing, then you have a industry that's saturated of doing things that everybody is doing. So everybody wants to own a business. Who makes that determination of if the business is going to be successful or not, or if a person is ready to start a business? There's no qualifications or formula or even foundation culturally that's set up institute-wise to be able to weed the people out that are not giving money up or a debt, I would call it, to be able to refinance or refund different gentrification programs. And so, of course, if you have the ability to get everybody to pay for these business licenses and get these loans, the return on that hasn't been to our benefit. But I want to back up by listening to your conversation. What I think is happening is our language has been so saturated in the form of how we communicate with each other. I've heard black on this, black that. Whereas in other nations, they're call themselves, even though they know and identify as a color, they still identify themselves by a nation. And so when you have lost nation, you have lost language, and you have all these things that we're going to continue to argue about. So I'm not on the conversation to say who's right or who's wrong, but I think as language starts to develop, to be able to gain an understanding of who we are is the real definition that's going to define us here in America. Now, I stopped calling myself black because I understand that we are true Aboriginal Americans. And so because we don't use the word Aboriginal and no one has identified as to who we are here in the Americas, post or pre-colonization, I think that's where the language, we're articulating a language that's not even ours. And so it's almost like an illusion for those, because everyone's perception is now based on an individualized perception. And so that,
Thank you,
are you guys still with me? I'm sorry?
AU?
Yes, may I address Sister Bobby?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Hello, sis. I just want to first, I definitely agree with what you were saying in the beginning about, basically, I forgot what you said. You were talking about economics and business. Basically, when it comes to that, I feel like if we've been doing something for X amount of time and it's not working, we need to stop feeling comfortable with that pattern and find a different way. And I think that's where we lack. And as I think Sister Marcia mentioned, we'll have, in one apartment building, there'll be 50 young men who want to be rappers or or athletes or create video games. And we'll have 50 young men who want to do that. And we know how slim those chances of them actually being successful in there. So we won't try to guide them into possible other directions with that being a fallback. And we get so comfortable. If your son plays good in basketball, we say, okay, well, keep playing, keep doing this, but the chances of him actually getting the NBA or whatever the case may be are so slim. And we don't see that this is a constant pattern. Well, okay, you know what? He can keep playing basketball, but we're also going to have him do this on the side. So we're not learning from our mistakes, and that's why I think that's a problem. So regardless of how we try to do it, at the end of the day, if it's not working, let's not be insane and keep doing the same thing. Let's try to do something else. So if the option of basically creating more of a structure and guiding them into an actual field where they have more possible success, I think that makes sense. If we continue doing, hey, little Tyrone, little Shalisha, you wanna be a singer, you wanna be an Instagram model, you keep allowing those things to proceed, and I'm using these examples because this is what I hear from the youth. So the sister before who was saying that we're stereotyping our own people, and I think that's, again, we're not dealing with reality. If you go into a lot of our communities, you're going to hear a little sister or a little brother say this or say that, but a lot of them are looking at our celebrities. They're looking at these Instagram models. They're looking at these athletes, and they're constantly wanting to be them, because that's what they idolize. So we have to deal with reality, and that is part of our reality that we need to work on, right? So I do agree. If something's not working, we need to fix it. But when you mention about the different nations and everything, I think that was discussed earlier today, how we have difference of opinion. At the end of the day, we are the original people. Life, if you believe, started in the continent of Africa, what is called now Africa. If you want to call us black, if you want to call us the original people, if you want to call us African, it's all the same thing. We're the same people. We were dropped off in different parts of the world. And from your understanding, that's a different belief system. But at the end of the day, we are the original people. So what we call each other, as long as we know that we're somewhat the same people, then we're good. I don't think that that's the most important. I think it's what we do with each other and how we move forward is more important than what we call.
How do you know, though? How do you know when? What I'm saying is okay. So what I'm saying is, you said we're the original people, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's why I said Bobby? We're Aboriginal. Yes, this is Bobby.
Okay. Good.
Yes. So you're saying the same thing. I said we're Aboriginal.
Mm-hmm.
We're teaching our kids that they're black, but you're teaching them that they're color. They know nothing about They know nothing about a nation or other nations. So if we're Aboriginal Americans, I mean that they were born on American soil, but they know nothing about the continent of Africa as well as the countries that derive in it, or as well as the Pangea. So when I agree to regards to the system of educating our youth, but if we start off wrong by telling them that they're color. So in America, we are. You can be black anywhere outside of America, But when you're here, but here in America, no one, even in the African nations, I'm Kenyan, I'm Nigerian. They don't even call themselves African.
That's not true.
They call themselves of their.
That's not true.
Listen, when I'm saying when I'm saying it's true, just like I don't address myself as a black person, but I know if somebody says, "Hey, black woman," I say, "Hey, black man." Yes, what I'm saying is that a Nigerian is a Nigerian. They know that they're African.
No, they say African.
What I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that they are. If you're a Jamaican, you're a Jamaican. Do you understand what I'm saying? By a nation, they know that they're African as well, but they don't say African Jamaican. They're Caribbean, right? But they know that they're from Africa. Our kids just think that we're black. They know nothing about. Huh?
I say African. I say I'm your favorite African. I identify as African.
Right, but are you original like the ladies?
How I identify myself. So we have to reprogram, as Brother Hassan was saying, everything. We have to unwrap everything you've been taught. Everything you've been taught is incorrect. So you got to start from scratch. And I'm agreeing with you. But you haven't been taught that you are original. What makes you original is your DNA. You're Aboriginal American. If you're saying you're African, where were you born?
Okay, sister, let me address that for a second.
You were born post-colonization.
But
if you have a business, you have a United States American business. You have an American passport.
I'm not an individual. I'm part of a culture. As being part of a culture, now I extend all the way back to the continent we call Africa.
So what culture do you show?
Developing a culture, you're getting away from individualism. So you're not just somebody who just popped out of the world and popped out the sky today, right? You have a long, continuous heritage and ancestry that you're just a continuation of, and when you're gone, people will continue on that the heritage and that tradition. So you're just a part of it. So you're a long lineage, and that lineage leads all the way back to the continent that we call Africa. Hence, therefore,
and I agree with you. I agree with you. However, you're talking about economics, correct?
We were talking about
Go ahead.
Economics is just a function of developing a culture or community. It's a small part.
So when you're saying developing, and it's our contribution to develop. It's our contribution to evolve. And so just like our words, we didn't know who a black was when we were calling each other Negroes, when we were calling each other dreads or.
Actually, we were calling each other African. In 1780, Richard Allen and Epsilon Jones formed the Free African Society. We always knew we were African. We just got confused over the past 100 years.
We've always been African. Okay.
Allow me to address that for a second.
What I'm saying is educate people based on truth. That is true. However, we're calling ourselves black when we are Aboriginal. There are Aboriginal people all over the world. We are also natives. And so before Pangea, it was only one nation.
Some people
and that's all I'm saying. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we believe. It matters based on it makes.
And EMET.
I'm sorry.
Translates the land of the black.
So let Brother Hassan get in. Let Brother Hassan get in. He's been trying. Come on, brother.
Definitely. So first and foremost, when we speak about Africans and continental Africans, to say things like they don't identify as black and they identify as nation, that's the untruth. Okay, the term black consciousness was started by Stephen Biko, who was a South African. Okay, and as my brother said before, Kemet was called the land of the blacks. So for years we identified as black. Nations have risen
America. In America, sir.
Hold on.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying in the Constitution of America.
You're getting emotional. Allow me to go.
Sister Bobby, come on. We're a loving family here.
No, and I agree with that. But what I'm saying is that if I'm being misunderstood.
Allow me to finish, Miss Bobby.
Let him finish, Sister Bobby. Please.
Sure. Okay.
So as we know, nations have risen and fallen. Names have changed over the time period. Okay, the Congo used to be called Zaire 20 years ago. So we sit here and say that, well, Nigerians call themselves Nigeria. Nigeria was not always called Nigeria. It was not always a nation. It was a kingdom or empire at one point. So getting caught up in that is going to have you confused. When you say things like you're Aboriginal, what are you Aboriginal to? Just because you were the first in this land doesn't mean that you're original to this land. Never get that mistwisted, because it's going to confuse everything. When we do our history, we seem to do it from when the Europeans arrived here. Okay? Yes, Africans have been traveling back and forth to the Americas, but this is not our homeland. And I'm not talking about Pangaea and any other thing you want to read. This is not our homeland. The continent is our homeland. So don't get confused with the names and using a Eurocentric term like Aboriginal to identify with. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I can say this. If you want to end that, let's just say this. I'm not African. You're not Aboriginal. We're victims of race and white supremacy. Now, how can we build on that? That's the real question. Take away the African, take away the Aboriginal. We're victims of racism.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And so through victims of racism, okay, so the solution is, number one, to eliminate race. Instead of calling ourselves black or white or a specific color, we have to attach ourselves. Okay. All right. We're here in America. I definitely couldn't be. Let me tell you. I'll tell you exactly why. Because under our laws and constitutions are definitely different from everywhere else on the continent. So I'm not disagreeing with you by saying they don't know or don't call themselves black. Anywhere outside of the United States of America, you have to know what you are here in the Americas. Everyone has a nation that they belong to, except for what you just said, the racially. Okay, I didn't hear the second time that you said, but the racially oppressed people. So the thing here is that when you're talking about a European name as Aboriginal, I'm only going off of what the actual word and the term says. And it's when you're talking about inhabiting a place where we're inhabiting. Let me give you a quick analogy. If you have a rosemary, if somebody brings a rosemary or a rosemary grew from the wild on a specific
sister,
the rosemary starts to grow on the land and spread. That rosemary has to now adapt to the actual environment of its growth. So that's what makes it Aboriginal, is it's inhabited post or pre-colonization, meaning before it was even brought there or when it was brought there. That has nothing to do with a color. We know that we are of a black nation, but that does not hold up here in the United States of America. You still are a slave, according to the U.S. Constitution. So everybody else gets their sovereignty because you can call yourself a native or prove this by blood, and now they're regentrifying and say, oh, small black businesses are small businesses. What's black? We are of European. We come in multiple different colors. Why? Because we have been colonized.
That's not true. So the melanin comes in many different forms. That has nothing to do with your hue. But let me say this. So you say the solution is to. I'm sorry. You say the solution is to stop identifying.
Yes, stop identifying ourselves here in America, in the Americas, as black. We know that we are black. We know that we are black. But the thing is that when you kill a black person, it means nothing, because to be black means nothing here in America. That's why we have to have black pride and black this, to try and hold on to a culture that's been lost or find our way.
That's true.
And now we get to exploit each other. Now we get to exploit each other with that same word. Oh, as long as my sweatshirt say I'm black, then I'm going to buy from you. But yet the Chinese man has made his dollar. The European man has made his dollar. Now, I do have a business. I'm the only black business here in the Arts District of Las Vegas, a major city where people all over the world come. And I'm the only one here, and I actually own the land. And everyone here on this land looks like me, because now I can develop now. And when I say I'm not saying I as an individual. I understand that concept. I'm saying I as the nation. To be able to bring.
Baba Baruti?
I'm sorry.
Are you familiar with Baba Baruti?
Bobby Baruti?
Baba Baruti?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh no, ma'am. I've completely shut myself off to to anything that's on social media. I'm only on the conversation today because a young man walked up to me and put the phone up on my
Baba is not on social media. He
he's an elder, and he used to be a professor at he's actually an author. Him and his wife actually have a African-centered school based in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's done a lot of research. He's done a lot of work, and he has a book called Kabuka. That if you get a chance, I would love for you to. I'd love to hear your feedback if you wanted to read it and take a look at it. And I would love to hear your feedback after reading that book. But I think that would definitely kind of two things out. And I'm glad to hear that you have a great business that you're doing. I'm hoping that you're doing well. I think you mentioned Los Angeles, I believe.
Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Vegas. I'm sorry, Vegas. I definitely would like to get your feedback if you wanted to read that book. And again, his name is Baba Baruti. It's called Baba Baruti, and the book is called Kabuka. So I don't know if I could shoot you a link.
So that yes, I will share the link so that she can get a copy.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds great. I will definitely read it. And the only reason why I mentioned the internet is because I know that's how most people get their information now. So I'm just letting you know that I've completely kind of cut myself. I've never really been on there or have any access on there.
Okay.
I wouldn't know about him otherwise.
Gotcha.
Okay. No, I think you brought in some valid points, right? And one of the most important things that we have to understand is that we're always trying to escape one word or another, and that's through the oppressive society that we live in, right? At first we were Africans, then we were colored, then we were Negroes, then we were niggers, then we're Black Americans, now we're going back to being Black. So we're always fighting to find our identity. And as each generation comes up, there's always going to be this struggle because we don't make a definite position on who we are and whose we are. Right? We're always trying to be someone else's instead of trying to be ourselves. And one of the most important things that I think this program for the Black of It is trying to establish is that we're trying to establish who we are. And whether you align with whatever faction, right? It's just the fact that at some point we have to come down that tunnel and back to oneness, right? And that always happens in any science experiment. It always starts with one theory, and it always ends up back to the proper solution. And I think that's where we're working to achieve. And I hear what you're saying, and I hear what everyone else is saying, and I just want us to continue this type of dialogue, because without this dialogue, we will not grow. And so this is why the program is called For the Black of It, because we're willing to go through dialogues and grow. And let's not forget, Marcus Garvey, it is said, wanted to name the UNIA the UAIA, but wouldn't name it United African Improvement Association for Improvement, whatever. I'm sorry, I'm messing it up right now, because the people that were living in America at the time would not recognize themselves as Africans. They only recognized themselves as Negroes, and so he wanted to be able to help those people re-identify themselves and come out the tunnel with a new perspective as Blacks and as Africans. And that's why he was working so hard on building allegiance not only here in North America but across the diaspora. He didn't stop here. He went, nor at Jamaica. He went to Indonesia. He went to Japan. He went where anyone would identify themselves as a so-called Negro, because he knew that that person will listen to the message that was brought on the Negro World, his newspaper. So with all that said, I thank you, Bobby, for coming on this call and participating. You gave us a lot to think about. You gave us a lot to dialogue about. And hopefully in the coming year, we can dialogue some more and understand each other so that we don't seem like we're having an argument, but we're developing a conversation. Is that fair, everyone? Everyone?
Yes. May I just add though? May I add to that? That way of thinking is very, very dangerous to who we are. Saying that if we stop identifying as black, that oppression will go away somehow, right? That's the same type of thinking that says, well, if I bleach my skin, then I become more acceptable. If I do this, I'll be more acceptable. We can't run away from the oppression. We say, well, the cop did it to me because I was black. No, the cop did it to you because he had the power to do so. Right? Not because you were black. He had the power to do so. Something is wrong with him, not you, not your blackness. So we got to stop running away from our blackness and our Africanness and throwing these super silliest titles on it and say, well, if we just accept this, then all of a sudden the oppression is going to go away. That's a delusional way of thinking. Not saying that you are delusional, Bobby. I'm saying it is a delusional way of thinking.
Bobby? Okay, so I think you hear us. You're at a distance right now, but we are reaching our maximum point. I want to give our esteemed guests an opportunity to give a 1-minute closing remarks on what you see a Black utopia looks like, and in 1 minute, how can one thing we can start doing for 2019 to achieve the Black utopia? Sister AU?
That's me. All right.
That's you.
What I will say, I mentioned before, and this is one of my strong points, definitely creating more structure, more organization. In 2019, I want to see more Black people, Black women being more accountable of their actions, of their choices, of their selections of mates. Same thing with Black men, being more protective of their community, of their women. I want to see more Black families, Black men and women creating family structures with their children, creating plans for their families, for their children. Short-term goals, I want to see more focus on our youth. Our youth is our future, and we need to focus more on that and make sure we are creating a plan for success. Long-term, I want to see a Black utopia of us having our own communities, handling basically if anybody's trying to destroy us, making sure that we are protecting ourselves the proper way, learning self-defense, learning how to maintain and how to live on our own without anybody else's help. That's the long-term goal. And I see that happening, and hopefully we're all doing our part to make it happen.
I appreciate you. Brother Ra. Brother? Oh, Brother Hassan. I said the wrong brother's name. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I was like, I don't think I'm Brother Ra.
Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. You see, you're not supposed to multitask some of the time. Brother Hassan.
My thing, creating a utopia for us would have to be, or have to start with discipline, whether it be sexual discipline, eating habits, spending habits. It starts with discipline, because Europeans are in the position that they are in because we are in the position that we are in, meaning that we make them who they are by spending with them and having levels of inferiority in our mindset. So it starts with discipline. It starts with organizing with that discipline and creating a mindset that we can move forward. That will be the ultimate utopia, in my opinion, to discipline ourselves where we're not having, situations where we can't control our finances, because it's not about how much you essentially make, it's about how much you essentially save, right? And we must understand that people benefit from our lack of discipline, basically. So that would be my example of creating utopia, disciplining ourselves across the board.
And 2019?
Yes.
Is still discipline?
Yeah, discipline. We need it
Okay.
100%. We need discipline.
Brother Oz.
What's up?
Wait. Let me just say my farewells, and then you can go on. Thank you, Sister AU. Thank you, Brother Hassan. You see, I'm trying to catch myself this time, right? I appreciate you guys for coming on the call. We had a spirited conversation. We've come to certain agreements, and we will continue to dialogue to get to better agreements. And I appreciate that you dedicated 2 hours for the Black of It. And what else can I say? Thank you, super producer. Thank you, Rob, on the board. I said that right this time. Brother Oz.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Africans, and those of you who are African adjacent. Thank you for spending some time with us for the blackest 2 hours of your week. This is For the Black of It. Shouts out to Sister Cindy, Brother Rye. You know we love you. Until next time.
And our
Peace.
callers. Sister Bobby.
They heard you.
Sister Tracy.
They heard you.
Brother
They heard
Joel.
That's
Brother
right.
Dick.
That's
All
right.
right. For the Black of It.
There was no Brother Dick.
Yes, there was.
There was no Brother Dick. Peace, y'all. Until next time.
Imperial Media Collective.
Cindy Ashby Production.
On the wake up.